For more insight, we do want to bring in retired Air Force Special Operations Commander Major Glenn Ignazio. It's always good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely good to see you, Natasha.
Israel still says it will absolutely respond. They have not said anything about the timing of the response or the scope of it. How do you think Israel should respond with an eye towards no further escalation in the region?
Hard to say no further escalation, but I mean, when you saw the volume of what Iran sent to Israel, I mean, that is a massive escalation than the surgical strike that Israel did in Syria. So that is, again, tremendous. But as far as Israel, what the response could be, the first thing I did think was, just like Ambassador Bolton said, was to be able to take out nuclear sites that Iran has, that the development. So that is not a future threat. If Iran had those nuclear weapons now, this would be a whole different dynamic. But how do you strike back without inflaming other nations? That's going to be a big key point here, and we're going to really have to watch how it unfolds in the coming days.
President Biden consistently saying the U.S. stands by Israel, but he's now also saying the U.S. will not participate in an Israeli counterattack. So what does this support look like?
Yeah, so supporting that type of counterattack would include, say, our tankers supporting Israel if they're using their aircraft to go in and strike facilities within Iran. So that would have to look at the range of the particular aircraft that could do surgical strikes. A lot of their drones do have long-range capabilities, and they're able to reach out. But also, Israel has very precise ballistic weapons and missile systems that could reach out and touch Iran that way. There's a lot of different things at play here. You could completely take an out-of-box approach here, and Israel could say, hey, Iran, we're going to attack you unless you release all the hostages with Hamas and push that. That'd be interesting to short-circuit things in Gaza and not escalate in kinetic warfare. But like I said, there's a lot of things that Israel can do on the plate here, but the United States can't get into an offensive engagement. Otherwise, this escalates to be a war against the United States as well.
Yeah. Do you feel that this attack, meanwhile, is part of a strategy by Iran to spark a wider conflict, or was this a very narrow and specific response to the deadly attack on Iran's consulate in Syria?
Yeah, that is a great question. I mean, if Iran, launched a significant amount, they really wanted to kill and destroy thousands of Israelis. I mean, they didn't launch this anticipating everything was going to be shot down. But the nightmare scenario that would have occurred was to have Hezbollah attack from Lebanon as well, and the destruction would have been monumental within Israel. And then now you have two fronts you would have to face. So that is a question to think about, but Iran definitely is one of those things. I think that they're baiting this. If there is a situation that develops, if they shut down the Straits of Hormuz, they have impacted everyone globally. So, Iran is pretty good about the deception and trying to lead into these type of attacks. And I'll listen to anything that they say. It's their actions. And that should always be a concern, not just today, but what's going to go on in the near future.
As we've been watching support perhaps waning from some countries in the past few months, in the past few weeks, do you feel that this is a moment of rallying, a rallying cry around Israel right now from both Biden and the G7 leaders?
Yeah, I think it galvanized things a little bit better than what was going on in Gaza. I mean, the hard part is people forgot about the massacre and focused on what was going on with the civilians. Now you're looking at an entire state-on-state attack. These are not, terrorist proxies. This is a significant state-on-state pure attack for a possible war. So as far as what we're going to see in the future and how this is going to envelop, it's really going to be tough as far as what we see coming out in the near future. But I think we really have to see where things settle and how Israel reacts. And I don't think they're going to do it quickly. I think they're going to definitely plan this and do this appropriately. But we'll see what that turns out to be.
Okay, Major Glenn Ignazio, appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.